here. Today we are tackling debt, your debt, my debt. We all have debt. You may have heard the good term good versus bad debt, but what exactly does that even mean? We're talking dollars and cents with Colin Evans from Evans Financial Group. Hi, Colin. Welcome back.
I am.
You went on vacation. Okay, so we're going to get straight to it today. Tell us the difference between good and bad.
You know, when we think of debt, it's like it throws us right into a loop of it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. But actually, there are some good ones. And when you really think about it, when you take a look at good debt, we kind of use about 3 or 4 different options to think about it. One of them being education. That's important, and it's something if you're furthering yourself. It doesn't matter if it's through, schooling or trade school or something like that that is progressing or enhancing your life.
So student loans?
Not necessarily,
no? Okay.
But a little bit. Education of just empowering or bettering bettering yourself. I'm a big proponent of leadership training and leadership courses and things like that. It's not really anything I'm getting graded on, but it helps me get better at what I do in my industry.
Okay.
Buying a home. That's an outstanding one of good debt, because typically we have seen time and time again.
Like buying a home before the sky high rates, or after, or both?
There's reasoning behind.
That's a whole different topic.
It is. There is. There's
okay.
reasoning behind both. We could take. Who knows what next week might be. But we look at that. So we've got, education, investing in yourself. Starting a business is a big one, because, whatever it is that you're planning on doing, typically you have to start with, something, if it's an office or a space for retail or the products for retail and things like that. I remember just about 10 years ago when I started one of my companies, and when I did it, I started it and leveraged the debt. I leveraged debt with the bank. And when I had paid my debt off in literally under 4 weeks, my banker took me to lunch and he said, Colin, he said, you had the amount of money in the bank to do this. Why did you use the bank's money? I said, you just answered the question. I said, I used your money and not mine. And it was funny, it took him back for a second. He said, I got to tell the others. I used it as leverage. I said, I just used it. I only needed it for 30 days. But I said, in the event an emergency happened, then I could use and make payment plans or something along that to follow it back and pay the debt back. And I still had my pile of money at the ready, just in case. I said that was leverage for me, and that's kind of a tool that we can use in our lives of helping us out and with starting a business and leveraging debt to help you grow and become better. And we flip this into the bad debt.
Bad debt.
The splurging, and it's gonna I'm gonna consistently go back to credit cards. I think those are the fastest way that people really get caught up, and that we don't see it. It becomes a little out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
And when you get caught up with that and the interest rates that are tacked into it, and what almost compounds that debt even further are things such as cash advances. As soon as you start doing that, the interest rates on that are even higher than what's actually stated on your actual credit card debt. And it becomes a further and further hole to dig yourself out of. And time and time again, I've seen people, I'll just get another credit card, I'll do the 0% interest, and that might work for a brief period of time.
Right, because that's usually what, like 6 months or 9 months. But then if you have multiple credit cards, it's easy. Those things rack up real quick. You can snowball very quickly.
It is. And one of the biggest tips, I'll say one of the biggest tips that I gained growing up with, even when I got my very first credit card, that my father told me, and he said 2 things never put on your credit card, and that's food and fuel.
I mean, food's one of my favorite things.
Well, you got to eat for sure,
yes.
But food, you're hungry, 3 or 4 hours later, and fuel, you're out of gas in 3 or 4 days. But now, on the 15th or the 20th, whenever that credit card statement comes in, now I've got to go, oh gosh, now I have to pay for this. And have I racked anything else up over this time period? Am I stuck here?
And you know what? We're just going to have to regroup, and because I know we can talk even more about bad debt for sure. We got it going on. So again, Colin Evans for you today answering our financial questions. You can catch us every Wednesday at 4 discussing all things finances. If you have a finance question you would personally like to know, you can email me at priscilla.borrego@ksla.com so we can feature your question on the show. Free financial advice with Colin Evans. Can't beat it.